Hola, estudiantes. We are going to talk about boot verbs. So you can either use this from your note sheet in class or you can follow along on your Google Doc. So what we're going to do is look at E to IE boot verbs. So first of all, let's talk about what is a boot verb or a stem changing verb. So basically, it's a verb that changes its spelling. And in what forms does it change its spelling? All forms except nosotros and vosotros. So we'll talk more about that. And here we have a list of E to IE verbs that we'll be working with. We'll kind of define and go through those definitions together real quick, and then look at how are we going to conjugate them? How are we going to use them in our sentences? So first of all, cerrar is to close. So like if I said, I close the door. Empezar is to begin or to start. Entender is to understand. Pensar is to think, or it could also be to plan. Perder is to lose. And then preferir is to prefer. And then querer is to want. Okay, so notice too that we have some of these verbs, they end in AR, some of them end in ER, and then we have a couple IR ones too. So when we want to conjugate our verb, remember it's really, really important that we pay attention to the ending. What type of verb? Is it an AR, ER, or IR ending? And then also what we're going to talk about today is how do we apply this spelling change? So at the bottom of your note sheet, I'm going to kind of just jump to the bottom real quick. We have these charts here. And we're going to just add our verb endings just so we have it all in one spot. So remember, we have AR endings, we have ER and IR endings. So if it's an AR verb, our endings, we have O, as, a, amos, ice, and on. If it's an ER or IR verb, remember these two verb and types of verbs, they share the same endings, except there's a couple of differences in nosotros and vosotros. But for yo, same O, ace, a. If it's an ER verb in nosotros, we're going to use amos. If it's an IR verb in nosotros, we're going to use imos. For vosotros, ace. If it's an IR verb, we're going to use is. And then we're back to sharing the same ending here with N. Okay. So I'm going to move back up here. All right, let's pick a verb and talk about how we're going to change that verb in its spelling. So let's look at cerrar, to close. So if I want to say I close the door or you close the door, how are we going to conjugate that? So I'm going to kind of just write off to the side our steps here. So we have cerrar as our verb. Very first step, anytime we conjugate a verb, we take off our ending. So this AR, that goes away. Now, this is what I have left over. This is what I'm going to call my stem. Now, if you notice on our chart here, I have shaded. if we kind of outline the shaded boxes here, it kind of looks like a boot, kind of a weird shape boot, but a boot. Kind of the toe, we can imagine kind of maybe this is like the main part of it, maybe a heel. So this is our boot. So that's why we call it a boot verb. So if you outline that, and I have kind of shaded in for you already, the ones that need to apply the spelling change. So we said that in all forms except nosotros and vosotros, we need to do a spelling change. So step number 1, take off my ending. I don't need it. Now, the next thing is this is my stem. Now, when I put it in a shaded in box here inside of the boot, that means that this E is going to change to IE. So when I write out the yo form, this is my new stem. So E changes to IE. And then in the yo form, so kind of double check you're using the correct endings. It's an AR verb, so I need to use the correct ending. Cierro. So if I said yo cierro la puerta, I close the door. We're talking about the yo form. The to form, once again, I need to apply my spelling change. So E changes to IE because it's inside of this boot. And then I'm going to add my correct ending here, and it's an AR verb. So I have cierras. So tú cierras la puerta. You close the door. For él, ella, usted, we're going to change our spelling again. E changes to IE. And then we have cierra. Okay, so now when we get to nosotros, we said that the spelling changes happen in all forms except nosotros and vosotros. And you see that nosotros and vosotros are outside of this boot shape. So they're not included and it's not shaded in on your notes. So that means when I take off the AR ending, I can just use my original stem. I do not need to change E to IE. I'm just going to copy down exactly what I see and then add my new ending, which would be amos. So cerramos would be we close. Same with vosotros. I do not need a spelling change. So cerráis would be you all close. We do not change the spelling here because it's outside of the boot. And then when I go back to ellos, ellas, ustedes, this is shaded in. It's inside of my boot. So therefore, I do need to change E to IE. So I have cierran. So for they close or you all close. Okay, let's do another example here. Querer, how about to want? That's an ER verb. So kind of pay attention. We have our boot shape. It's all shaded in for you already. If I outline that, anything inside of the boot means I need a spelling change. So querer is my verb. Very first step, take off your ending. That ER goes away. This is my stem, what I have left over. And that means this E changes to IE inside of the boot. So yo quiero would be I want. The to form, quieres. So make sure we use our correct, now we're using an ER verb. It's an ER verb, so I need to look at my correct ER ending chart here. Él, ella, usted quiere. Now, nosotros is outside of the boot, so I don't need to do my spelling change. I'm just going to add my ending, queremos. Same with vosotros. Do not need to do my spelling change. Queréis. And then ellos, ellas, ustedes quieren. So I'm back to my spelling change because it's inside of the boot. Okay, one last thing. If you notice, there's a couple of verbs here. Let's say I want to conjugate the verb empezar. So I take off my ending, and then all of a sudden you look in your stem, look at, there's 2 E's. How do I know which E to apply its spelling change? It is generally the second E. So another example, like preferir, if I take off this IR ending, look at, there's 2 E's. How do I know which one to use? The second E will apply the spelling change. So just keep that in mind if you are wondering which one needs that spelling change. All right.